Welcome to the Contexts and Directions of Australian Education Class 101.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took.
I wonder what it was like when our ancestors went to school. How has it changed socially, politically, philosophically, economically, industrially and globally?
Well, if you lived in the country in the 1800s, you might, by chance, cut down across a small one-room school or a school on land donated by a local farmer.
If you lived in the city, you only did hard time at school if you were very wealthy.
Didn't churches provide the ingredients for schools then?
Yes, that is correct.
So did, schools and teachers just, magically come about then.
Well, by the 1830s there was lots of crime. An idea then came about that crime was the result of ignorance abuse. And ignorance was the result of lack of education.
So the government thought if they increased education maybe crime would go down.
So the government extinguished the crime and set up schools for all children to be taught.
Not only were they taught about reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also about morals, laws, and being a decent human being / good citizen. Drugs are bad, MK.
We shall allocate money for schools, to equip them and to pay teachers. However, we shall set up strict rules and guidelines for the schools. We shall decide what can and can't be.
As you can see, they decided what could and could not be performed in the school grounds. It didn't matter which school you went to, all the rules were the same.
Boys and girls were instructed in the more basic subjects. Girls would get time to knit. During this time, boys were to practice and learn geometry, geography and arithmetic.
Yeah dude, but what about the teachers? What did they do?
The first thing they would do in the morning would be inspecting the children.
Yes, seeing if their face and hands were clean and washed up like me. Seeing that their hair was neat and tidy like mine. Their clothes were checked too. I reckon I would pass.
Teachers primarily had to teach children to be orderly, clean, punctual and courteous.
But how the bloody hell did they achieve it?
Why, with a D word, of course. No, not dilly-dallying, silly. But with discipline.
OMG, that is so totally radical. So what kind of rules and discipline existed?
Well, for example, children had to enter a room, bow to the teacher, sit down, and copy everything written on the board. There was a lot of chalk and talk. Students were to repeat their tables, poems and so on, like a parrot. Back then you could hear a pin drop. Schools were orderly. You were punished if you didn't obey the rules. There was corporal punishment, detention, suspension, and expulsion. You would get smacked on the knuckles with a steel ruler.
Until 1872, schools didn't have a curriculum, nor was it compulsory for children to attend school. Lucky.
In order to strengthen the economy and due to the growing industrialization of Australia, the government started to fund schools and equip them with ingredients.
Since then there has been a growing demand for higher levels in education.
The industrial changes in education. Let's see. Well, the curriculum is constantly changing as well as technology. Now there is information technology and ICT tools. My oh my.
This has changed the role of the teacher. The teacher is now expected to know content very well and to integrate ICT tools into their teaching. They have to keep up to speed with.
One of the most controversial elements concerning education economically is the topic of how schools are funded and whether money is distributed fairly.
Well, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The private wealthy schools don't fund themselves and get assistance from the government.
Education is an issue politically speaking. Since 2012, politicians have made budget cuts and staff cuts. It has been a constant battle for teachers fighting for.
Socially, there are many options when it comes to education, and there are many things to be taken into consideration when parents choose a school for their children, public or private. Happiness and safety of child, quality, affordability, good reputation, subjects offered, discipline, special needs, support.
Philosophically speaking, it is much harder to become a teacher now. One needs specific qualifications and training. Teachers learn about the needs of children and the psychology of children and how to be engaging and encouraging.